Is ordinance number 20-007, amending Title 6, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 3, Rules of the Road, to add Section 6-3-25, operating a motor vehicle while using an electronic device. Okay.
Commander Lacey is on with us, Mayor, to speak to these, actually the 4 resolutions that are ordinances, excuse me, that break out the various traffic violations that are proposed here tonight.
Now,
the first 3.
Can we bundle this?
Yes, you may. And
Yes.
if the commander, I want to comment that the commander did all the heavy lifting on this, and he should be really commended to bring these state ordinance or state laws in-house for ease of administration and better enforcement. So, Commander, if you just give an overview, and then the board can vote them all as a single item.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Murphy. Thank you, board, for letting me talk. We had talked about this prior to today, and actually it's the ordinances that we're getting passed so we can enforce them locally. The reason why they weren't on the agenda the last time was because we had to get with legal with Attorney Murphy in reference to making sure everything was in order, making sure the wording was right, and that's what was done. So I appreciate Attorney Murphy and his law firm for doing that. So this is the same thing that was up. We talked about last time as far as offer out, as far as a truck, as far as talking on the cell phone, as far as window tint, and various other things that you have in front of you. So this is basically the same thing. We just wanted to make sure that the wording was right and it was legal as far as what we were doing. Okay,
Commander, one of the things here, does any of these involve administration fees and towing?
It does. If we get certain ones, as far as suspended, there's an administration fee. As far as loud music, there's an administration fee. Everything was just put in place like it's supposed to be as far as legally. Okay, now the one of the things that I would have liked to seen on this, and I'm not sure if it's already in place, is the loud music, and we have to enforce that. I mean, it's getting ridiculous now with a lot of the cars here now. Is that Attorney Murphy and our commander? Is that on the books now as a local ordinance that we can actually tow those cars and do an administration fee? Actually, Mr. Mayor, it is. Actually, I just arrested somebody today for the same thing, administration fee as far as the loud music. So it is something on the books, and it's something that we are enforcing. Okay, is that local or is that going through county? No, it's local. All the fees come to the village. All right. Now on the tent ordinance, how are we measuring tent? Well, there's a device that you can measure tent. However, limo tent is much darker than any tent that you can see. So you totally can't see in the vehicle. And it's much more of, and I get it that, people use it for privacy purposes, but it's a safety issue at the same time. So right. That being said, that's why we created an ordinance that as far as limo tent and as far as the funds coming directly to the village. So do we have a tent measuring device? I believe the DC does have one. We had a conversation a while ago, and he does have one towards we can measure it. All right, great. I would advise that that all our traffic units at least have one in the vehicle. Yes, sir. And at least one available on every shift. DC. Hello, DC. He's there, but he's. I think his mute button is on.
He has to unmute his camera.
Okay, so Commander.
No, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, Mayor.
Okay.
So those devices were given out to some municipalities from the state.
Right.
So I contacted them, and they said they'll try to get us a couple. And it just registers it, and then it's automatic. You don't have to do anything else. You just have to slide it on the window.
Yeah, I know Indiana State Police have them in their cars.
Yeah,
so
our trooper got them too.
Why don't you check on the prices, and then whatever we get from the state, supplement that with make sure all the traffic units have it, and that we have one on every shift at least.
Absolutely. Okay, no problem.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll read off the other ordinances. We'll bundle these and get approval from the board if there's so noted. Do we need another? Should I just read these off and then we'll get a motion to get them all on board, John?
Yes, yeah, you can do it that way. Just read them all off and then motion to approve as read.
Okay. Also, in adding for the approval is item C, ordinance number 20-008, amending Title 6 Motor Vehicle Traffic, Chapter 6 Vehicle Equipment and Condition to add section 6-6-10 Vehicle Window Tint, 6-6-11 Squealing of Tires Prohibited, 6-6-12 Vehicle Requiring Splash Guards, and 6-6-13 Covers or Tarpaulins required for certain loads. Item D, ordinance number Item D, ordinance number 20-009, amending Title 6, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 8, Pedestrians to add section 6-8-6, Railroad Crossings. Item E, ordinance number 20-010, amending Title 1, Administrative, Chapter 4, General Penalty, Section 1-4-4-F, Schedule of Fines. Can I get a motion to approve item B, C, D, and E?
Motion to approve items C, B, D, and E. B, C, D, and E. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned by trustee Steve and seconded by trustee Brown to approve items B, C, D, and E. Any questions?
Can you explain them, each one that we trying to approve? I heard you say something about 10 and a splash guard. Can you explain so residents know which ordinance?
Now, trustee Henry, these were explained at a previous meeting, but for sake of clarity, if you want to explain again, then that's fine.
Trustee, which one were you concerned about? Trustee?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Which
Okay.
one were you concerned
Well,
about?
all of them, if you could go through each one that we're approving, because I know he just said B, C, D, and E. So I know one stated about tent and the other stated about splash guards so that we can understand what it entails.
Sure, I don't have the list in front of me. However, in reference to splash guards, that would apply to trucks. Truck law clearly states that a truck has to have 2 splash guards while they're on the road. You do run into trucks that do not, so that's a violation. It's not only a state violation, it's a federal violation. However, we can enforce that as far as locally, and the revenue can come to the village. The same thing would apply to the tent. That's also a state violation, and we can enforce that a local ordinance to where the revenue comes to the village. There's also, top of my head, there's one for trucks off route. Dolton is not a truck route. If you come off of 94 going eastbound, that is in fact a truck route. If you're going westbound, it's not a truck route. Dolton does not have a truck route in the village. However, if you're doing business in the village, you're fine, as long as you can prove it and show your paperwork. But other than that, that would be revenue that will be coming to the village. That's what I can remember off the top of my head. Oh, I'm sorry. Squealing of the tires. We all know that that's a nuisance to the residents, as far as people squealing their tires, as far as playing the loud music. All of these are basically state violations. However, we can enforce them locally to where the revenue comes to the village.
Okay, so if a person is driving through town and they got tinted windows, is that probable cause to pull them over? Is that what you're stating for the tent?
It is. Yes, it is. You can in fact pull this person over. That would be probable cause for an officer to stop a vehicle if so desired in reference to that violation. But the difference would be you can write him a Y series ticket, which would go to Markham, or you can write him a local ordinance ticket, which would go to the village. The one that would go to Markham, it would in fact affect their driving record, affect their insurance. The one that goes to the village, there's a little bit more leeway to whereas the fines go to the village and it would not affect them. It'd be much more of a hardship on them.
Okay, so I guess when the officer approach, how will the individual know that we have an ordinance in place? So we just would write them a ticket, it won't be a warning or nothing like that. It's just they getting a ticket. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I would say is the officer would explain to them as far as what is really going on as far as the local ordinance. And we're not the only village that has it. There are actually villages other than ourselves that has the same ordinance.
Right. I'm not dissing that. I'm just concerned about the cause I would get after you guys then wrote somebody a ticket that didn't know we had an ordinance in place to basically get a ticket for tent.
Sure.
So I'm asking, like, what would be our procedures when we approach? Can y'all not give a person a warning so that it'd be on file? You gave them a warning, so now the second time they get a ticket?
Well, that would be up to the officer. It's just like getting a moving violation, trustee. It would be up to the officer as to whether they're going to enforce that moving violation or not. However, with everything going on and the rise in crime as far as windows being tinted, as far as us not being able to identify somebody that's in a vehicle that might have just committed a crime, that's one of the reasons that it's on the books, and that's one of the reasons why we would enforce it.
Okay. Well, I'm not against it. Once again, I think you should educate the residents because that's my concern. For instance, it's probably a ton of people in town that has tint on their windows, their kids or whoever. And I don't want them to be a victim of some law that we put in place and you didn't tell them going forward. We don't allow that no longer.
Sure. Well, you know what, trustee? It's actually always been on the books. Right now, what's going on now is that we're starting to enforce it because it actually helps the residents as if something happens in their area and they see something, well, they can't see because, there's tint there, there's dark tint there. This would in fact help us and help the residents to see if they don't have tint on their vehicle, then they can see who's driving that vehicle. They can describe their vehicle.
Okay, and the other one was the
Trustee Henry, may I interrupt here? There is a state law in regards to tent, and it passed several years ago. The thing here about this tent is that to the degree of tent, a lot of the drive-by shootings are done by people that have cars with dark tint where you can't see in. And then the only time you see it when they do these drive-bys is they roll up, the windows are tinted so dark that you can't see them until the window comes down, they start shooting. So basically what we're doing is we're enforcing it, and they could have enforced it already, but it would have went to a county court instead of to our local court. So that's what he's bringing here to that. Secondly is the fact that a lot of these cars that you can't see into, and the state allows you to have a tent, but it's to the degree. So that's why the enforcement is bringing it locally here instead of to the county court.
Okay. I agree with that, Mayor. I'm not against it. I'm just trying to get clarity so I can explain it to residents or whoever's watching, understand what it is we're doing. I'm all for that. I'm all for safety. I just want you to explain it to someone's kid that might have it on their car that lives in town, that we put this in place and going forward, they can get a ticket. That's it.
Okay, what I'm saying is that they've already are eligible for a ticket through the state court. It's like I said, it's been on the books for a while. We're just bringing it we're just enforcing it, and it's to the local court instead of to the county court.
Right, I got that part. So we're gonna enforce it more so because we're collecting the money. So that means more tickets. So that's why I'm saying clarity. That's it. My next question was about the trucks, Lacey. The trucks with the I can't even remember what it was. Hold on,
Commander Lacey?
Yes, sir.
I want to clarify something. We do have a truck route in the village of Dolton. It's Lincoln Avenue, but it's a class 3 truck route.
Correct.
And there are signs that are posted on Lincoln Avenue designating and showing that Lincoln Avenue is a class 3 truck route.
Correct.
Okay, Mayor, so make sure I got this right. So by passing this basically just saying we're going to collect the money here in the village? That's what all three.
Well, if they're found guilty and the judge fines them, yes, they would pay the fee to the court, the fine to the village instead of to the county.
Mr.
John?
Mayor, of course, it's not strictly for money.
Right.
The courts are encouraging the municipalities to move these kind of violations into adjudication court rather than to have them at Markham. You can imagine what the next 6 to 9 months are going to look like at Markham in terms of caseload. So just in terms of practicalities, it makes a lot of sense to bring these local violations into the local adjudication system.
Yeah. Trustee Henry,
Yeah, you guys
You have-
answered. Thanks.
you have something for it?
No, that was it. That was my questions. Thanks.
Commander Lacey, can you just elaborate a little bit on the fines for these local ordinances?
Right. Unfortunately, Mayor, I don't have the fines in front of me, but these fines that are on the list that you guys have, these fines would in fact go locally versus state. So the fines would go to the village and not to the say Markham Court or the state.
Right. Now, DC and Commander Lacey, can you make sure if these are approved that our officers on the street get a copy of the ordinances so that, if they want to enforce them, they know exactly which ordinance to enforce?
Yes. I plan on, and with the DC's approval, I plan on going to the roll call so I can explain to the officers at roll call, hey, look, this is what we can do and this is what we can't do.
And then, of course, give them a copy of the ordinance so they can have it handy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, great. Any more questions? Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
On the motion to approve as read, ordinances number 20-007, 20-008, 20-009, 20-010. Motion by trustee Steve, second by trustee Brown. Roll call, trustee Denton is absent. Trustee Steve.
Aye.
Trustee House.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Holmes is absent. Trustee Henyard.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, 4 ayes. Next thing on the agenda is new business. There is none. And then citizens address.
So, can we recognize Mayor?
Go ahead, trustee Steve.
I'm on the chat. That's where we get the citizens address from.
Okay,
There's 2 questions. Though I think that there's one a statement and one question, but I think the one is, will the residents get a copy of the ordinances as well? And I mean, as Mary Kay, you can elaborate on the process of getting the ordinance and be on the website.
Sure. Or, I'm sorry.
If you can elaborate, will the residents get a copy of the ordinance?
All ordinances are, once signed by the mayor, are sent to the webmaster to post on the website under government. And we would have copies here at the village hall.
Okay. That's
And what was- and then
yeah.
what was the statement?
It sounds to me as if you are just trying to find ways to get money from people any way you can. All I keep hearing is we will get revenue, administrative fees from that. I think it was explained. I mean, if somebody wanted to address that statement.
Well, as Attorney Murphy stated that we're bringing these ordinances to the village, which will help alleviate the congestion in the county courts. And these ordinances have been on the books, or statutes have been on the books for the state. And, at that point, if the violators will get their day in court, and it's up to the judge to determine guilt or innocence. So our police officers can still enforce a state statute which would go to the county court. But in this case, if the enforcement for these ordinances that we approved tonight will go to the village. Is that correct, Attorney Murphy?
Yes, yes. So, this is law enforcement primarily, and it's actually more convenient to the people to have these things handled in adjudication court than to wait in line for 2 hours to get into the Markham court.
And just as Commander Lacey said that a number of towns and municipalities have these ordinances on their books, that they brought it in for adjudication into the municipality instead of going to the county court.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's correct.
Any more trustees?
One more is, she stated not everyone has access to the internet. That's why you can come into the village hall and get the actual copy of the ordinances.
Yes.
And I
That's
expect there will be interest, particularly in these ordinances and the fines that have been added for these violations. So we'll have some copies just out here on the table for residents, at least for the time being.
Yeah. And one of the things that in creating a traffic unit is to also create enforcement for the truck traffic. Sibley Boulevard is a highly populated street that with a lot of truck traffic. And one of the reasons that, and I'm happy that Commander Lacey is going for the enforcement of the splash guards. Those splash guards keep rocks from being passed up and distributed, and that's how you get broken windshields. And a lot of times the people cannot catch the truck, or the truck driver. If they do catch the truck driver, they don't pull over, and they deny that anything came from the truck and broke the windshield. So I'm happy to see the enforcement of the splash guards, because it saves windshields. Okay, if there's no further, I'd like to ask for
well, there's one more. I got a question. It's not dealing with anything on the agenda, but it's a question.
I'm sorry, trustee. As my understanding is, if it's not relative to the items on the agenda, it's not to be addressed to the board this evening.
Is that correct, John?
That's correct, but if it's just one question, we can at least listen to it. We don't have to give any response to it.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, July 4th is coming soon. Neighbors last year had fireworks show on the block with family and friends. With COVID, how do you plan to keep us safe?
Well, I'm just going to say that I've instructed the chief, and the DC is on. We're going to do as much enforcement as we can. As you know, right now, and it's going all over the country. For some reason, the fireworks have started early, and just today, I noticed that New York, and they have the complement of manpower. They've started a task force that they're actually doing undercover buys for fireworks. They're enforcing the fireworks ordinances that they have on the books. They're making arrests, and in this case, we're going to do the same if we're able to identify those people that are in violation. DC?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're going to address that just how you related, but I was going to say we could probably put something on the 1-800 number in advance to put everyone at ease, and they can report to the 1-800 number if anyone's out there selling them in the neighborhood or anything like that. Then we can get on top of it that way.
And also, I just want to mention the fact confiscation. So the police will confiscate any fireworks that they see once they come up on the scene, and they can identify a violator, and also they will be subject to arrest.
Mr. Mayor, if I can say something real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
With the fireworks, there is something on the books right now that is in fact a local ordinance, and if you get caught with the fireworks, it's a $500 fine. You can actually do both.
And also, Commander, you may want to mention the fact that July 1st, your whole unit will be back intact.
Yeah, with the approval of yourself, the chief, the DC, yeah, my traffic unit will be back in force, and I've already informed them that we're going to be working the 4th of July.
Okay, and you might want to mention the enforcement that you've already taken with the traffic units since it's been implemented.
Right, we actually have an uptick as far as traffic violations and suspended, as far as loud music, as far as actually if the residents notice a lot of cars are getting towed as far as abandoned cars. So we've actually done an uptick as far as cleaning up the village and enforcing laws that are on the books, enforcing ordinances that are already on the books.
Yeah.
I've also talked to the commander in sweeping these alleys because we have a lot of abandoned cars that are located behind people's houses that are not registered, that have expired stickers, expired registration, that are not mobile. And the commander has been sweeping the alleys and getting these cars towed. Okay, Trustee Steve, anything further?
No, that's it.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion to
Trustee Steve,
adjourn.
second.
Second.
It's been motioned by Trustee Steve, second by Trustee Brown, that we adjourn this meeting. Roll call.
Trustee Denton, absent. Trustee Steve.
Aye.
Trustee House.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Holmes, absent. Trustee Henyard.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carried, 4 ayes. Thank you, everybody. Commander, DC, Attorney Murphy, and the trustees. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night. Good job, Lacey.
Yes.
All good. We're just doing a story. We've heard controversy about the mayor, and we're here to see if she's a hero or a villain. What is your take, sir?
No, I don't have a take. I'm saying, what are you here for? You're just taking.
We're running a video right now.
But you got to get permission to do that.
In a public area, sir?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. This is a public area, huh?
Okay.
Which means you get to film in public. There she is, right there. Oh, is this a public area?
Yeah, but we don't. You have to get
Funded by the
permission to
taxpayer?
take pictures of people here. You cannot be in here.
Wait, isn't this a public area though?
You can't be in with the cameras. Come on out. Come on out.
Wait, this is a public area.
Come on out, gentlemen.
Can you ask that
Sir,
question?
step out, please.
Is this a public area?
Sir, please step out.
I don't think this is legal. Sir, that's
Who
a
else
police
got ID?
stop.
Coming back.
State of Illinois, you're supposed to have ID.
Go get your ID.
For what?
Come back. Hey, go get your ID. Unlock the car so you can get his ID.
It's not a request.
Oh, it's not a request.
Not at all.
You know you're liable, right? In Illinois.
For what?
Get it right. I know who you are. Get your information. Get it
Voted
right.
no confidence in Deputy Chief Louis Lacey. A new top cop has now been appointed. Ronald Burge Sr. He ran against current Mayor Tiffany Henyard back in 2021 and formerly served as police chief in Dixmoor. The former Dolton Deputy Police Chief Louis Lacey was indicted on bankruptcy.
I don't care about black lives.
Follow me, sir.
I can walk, sir. I can walk. I'm not. You're stopping in front of me. You're stopping. Chief, put those cuffs away. You're not going to arrest anybody. Stop it. Put the cuffs away. You'll be making a big mistake, just like your mayor that you protect.
If we ask you for your identification, give it to us. I don't know who you are.
I don't know who you
You
are.
can have a bomb on you. I don't know who you are.
We got a public lockup too, okay?
So what does that
Now,
mean?
turn that camera away from me.
You have-
Turn
you
the
have-
camera away from me.
I'm not a racist. You are, man.
Car, I'm going to issue the citation.
A citation for what?
Improper lane use.
I never changed lanes. I contest what you're saying, and you know. Where's your video? Where's your video? I never changed lanes, Officer Clark. He's lying. He's a liar. No, I'm not reaching for anything. It was something blowing across the road, and I know you saw it. Well, you should fix. You know me, because you don't do your damn job.
I understand, ma'am, and I understand.
Yeah, no, you don't. Either give me a ticket No, he's not reaching for nothing. We're concealed carry with firearms on us. We're not reaching. I gave you my driver's license number.
Here we go. If you do not give me your license.
I'm not reaching for my license. Call the white shirt. I made a complaint on you. You may shoot me just because of the complaint. I got the 380 in the same area.
Okay, so where is it?
It's right here on my hip. Person, could
Okay.
you? Yeah. Would you like to take the seatbelt off?
Okay, so who was it?
Okay.
Step out for me.
Yes, ma'am. Can I take my seatbelt off?
Yeah.
Okay. My hip was fractured. I need a little help. There's the 380 right there.
Okay.
Just go ahead and get her license. You say your license in your pocket, right?
It's in here.
Is it in the purse?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
just
you can
step
get
up
it.
If you don't mind, let's step over back off the traffic.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Driver's license, military ID, Utah carry. We have property in another state. We have, here's that, and here's this one.
Thank you.
I did not want to reach, but I gave him my driver's license number. 1836. You know me, because you don't do your damn job.
I understand, ma'am, and I understand.
Yeah, no, you don't. Either give me a ticket. No, he's not reaching for nothing. We're concealed carry with firearms on us. We're not reaching. I gave you my driver's license number.
Here we go. If you do not give me your license.
I'm not reaching for my license. Call the white shirt. I made a complaint on you. You may shoot me just because of the complaint. I will give you my driver's license number, in which I am to do.
The reaction from the community. Courtney?
Yeah, good morning to you both. A federal indictment that came down yesterday accuses Dolton's acting police chief, Louis Lacey, of bankruptcy fraud. This comes about a week after the village fired Lacey after placing him on leave. But despite getting notice of his termination, we're told he was still showing for work.
It's a great day in Dolton. Justice is being served.
Dolton residents reacting after the police department's acting chief is slapped with a 9-count federal indictment. Louis Lacey now accused of bankruptcy fraud, making false statements and lying under oath.
I'm just so happy because this man needs to be taken off the street. He does not need a gun or anything, period.
According to the 24-page indictment, Lacey has filed for bankruptcy 7 times over the last 40 years, including 2 times in the last 5. In one case dating back to 2015, Lacey is accused of largely underreporting his income and lying about being separated from his wife so he could claim she wasn't contributing to their shared expenses. All of that to allegedly avoid paying back more than $40,000 he owed in a settlement.
This is going to be a domino effect, and we got to take the rest of the trash out.
Residents rejoicing the news, investigators say, stems from an ongoing federal investigation. Lacey, now the second ally of the self-proclaimed super mayor to face federal charges of bankruptcy fraud, but his attorney calls this a witch hunt.
They're trying to find people that will shy away and cooperate with them against the mayor.
Hengard's top aide, Keith Freeman, also federally charged, now cooperating with village trustees who called for an investigation against the mayor. Lacey's attorney saying he believes prosecutors are targeting people they believe they can flip, and residents say they expect to see that happen.
I think that this is a good thing because I'm sure Lacey is going to try to save himself.
Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot recently revealing findings of an investigation she was paid by the village to conduct. While that was separate from this indictment, it laid out big allegations against Lacey.
With all due respect to Lightfoot, it was her conclusion. She is nobody.
Lightfoot was a formerly high-powered federal prosecutor before her time as Chicago's mayor. Her findings revealed Lacey is accused of being paid more than $200,000 in overtime over the last few years, despite his inability to receive overtime pay.
She's just the person that came out with a conclusion, and the village is taking it as if it was the scripture.
Residents now waiting to see what comes next for Lacey, the department, and the village.
There are some good people working for the police department in Dolton. My wife and I have met a couple of them, and I hope the powers that be will allow one of the good ones to fill the space.
Now, Lacey's attorney says he will surrender in court and plans to plead not guilty. Each of these charges, if convicted, is punishable by up to 5 years in federal prison. In the newsroom, back to you.
Reaction from the community. Courtney?
Yeah, good morning to you both. A federal indictment that came down yesterday accuses Dolton's acting police chief, Lacey, of bankruptcy fraud. This comes about a week after the village fired Lacey after placing him on leave. But despite getting notice of his termination, we're told he was still showing for work.
It's a great day in Dolton. Justice is being served.
Dolton residents reacting after the police department's acting chief is slapped with a 9-count federal indictment. Lacey now accused of bankruptcy fraud, making false statements and lying under oath.
I'm just so happy because this man needs to be taken off the street. He does not need a gun or anything, period.
According to the 24-page indictment, Lacey has filed for bankruptcy 7 times over the last 40 years, including 2 times in the last 5. In one case dating back to 2015, Lacey is accused of largely underreporting his income and lying about being separated from his wife so he could claim she wasn't contributing to their shared expenses. All of that to allegedly avoid paying back more than $40,000 he owed in a settlement.
This is going to be a domino effect, and we got to take the rest of the trash out.
Residents rejoicing the news, investigators say, stems from an ongoing federal investigation. Lacey, now the second ally of the self-proclaimed super mayor to face federal charges of bankruptcy fraud, but his attorney calls this a witch hunt.
They're trying to find people that will shy away and cooperate with them against the mayor.
Henyard's top aide, Keith Freeman, also federally charged, now cooperating with village trustees who called for an investigation against the mayor. Lacey's attorney saying he believes prosecutors are targeting people they believe they can flip, and residents say they expect to see that happen.
I think that this is a good thing because I'm sure Lacey is going to try to save himself.
Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot recently revealing findings of an investigation she was paid by the village to conduct. While that was separate from this indictment, it laid out big allegations against Lacey.
With all due respect to Lightfoot, it was her conclusion. She is nobody.
Lightfoot was a formerly high-powered federal prosecutor before her time as Chicago's mayor. Her findings revealed Lacey is accused of being paid more than $200,000 in overtime over the last few years, despite his inability to receive overtime pay.
She's just the person that came out with a conclusion, and the village is taking it as if it was the scripture.
Residents now waiting to see what comes next for Lacey, the department, and the village.
There are some good people working for the police department in Dolton. My wife and I have met a couple of them, and I hope the powers that be will allow one of the good ones to fill the space.
Now, Lacey's attorney says he will surrender in court and plans to plead not guilty. Each of these charges, if convicted, is punishable by up to 5 years in federal prison. In the newsroom, back to you.
Several new developments in South Suburban Dolton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reports. That was just today. The comptroller says that she's concerned following our reporting on allegations of mismanagement in Dolton. The decision means that the village won't receive $135,000 this year that the state usually transfers to communities for unpaid traffic, parking citations, and other judgments. And that's not all that's happening in Dolton today. So playing out.
It's a police standoff, but it's unlike any you've seen. It's unclear exactly who is running the police department and the rest of the village as Mayor Tiffany Henyard struggles to show that she's still in control. Ben Bradley continues his exclusive reporting from Dolton.
Is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman?
Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard tried to fire her top aide last week, but was met with silence from trustees who refused to vote on the termination.
This is what y'all say about the person. Y'all say he's never at work, he'll do his job. Is this what y'all say? So what we doing, guys?
The standoff is surprising given that trustees once despised village administrator Keith Freeman for helping Henyard run the show in Dolton and Thornton Township, but he's now cooperating with trustees investigating Henyard's spending.
I had trouble following it as well, but now Keith Freeman is cooperating, doing what he should have been done in the first place.
Cooperating with trustees.
With the trustees, absolutely, doing his job.
That leads us back here to the steps of the Dolton Police Department. Trustees tried to fire Henyard's hand-picked acting police chief, Lacey, after their investigation found he collected $200,000 in overtime that they say he wasn't entitled to. Mayor Henyard wasn't having it. She insists Lacey is still the village's top cop. Dolton police officers and commanders received an email summoning them to a mandatory meeting with Mayor Henyard and Chief Lacey. Soon after, Freeman fired off a reply that read, Lewis Lacey is no longer employed by the village of Dolton. Mr. Lacey is not allowed in any spaces reserved for employees without an escort.
We'd like to talk to you about whether you're still running things here in Dolton.
Lacey arrived for the hastily called meeting, but sat in his souped-up Dodge Durango.
I think we're in a standoff.
As the minutes ticked by, Lacey drove around looking for a way into the station.
So somebody closed the garage on the acting chief, and now he's pulling away.
Then it was time to play hide and seek with Mayor Henyard as she circled the station looking to avoid our cameras and questions.
For more than a half an hour now, we've been playing this cat and mouse game with the acting police chief and now Mayor Henyard.
Lacey later returned, but still wasn't talking. And Investigates obtained video of Henyard telling police commanders this afternoon she and Lacey are still running things.
Keith Freeman do not work here, he's fired. So stop playing these silly games.
Mayor Henyard is now trying to pin the blame for more than $100,000 in questionable spending on first-class air travel, luxury hotels, meals, and more on her once trusted aide, Keith Freeman. But remember, Henyard frequently reminds her critics she's the boss.
I'm going to remember this, because at the end of the day, I told you, you guys don't run the day-to-day, the mayor does.
Both Freeman and Acting Police Chief Lacey are facing pressure to cooperate in the ongoing federal investigation after prosecutors charged both of them with bankruptcy fraud in separate cases. As the power play plays out, it's residents who suffer. Many voice their frustrations at the most recent village board meeting.
What about us? What about our fears? What about our tax dollars? I wish the FBI is around the corner so they can come and raid this place, because all of y'all deserve to go to jail.
In Dolton, Ben Bradley.